I know you all know, probably you all know, that Ramana and generally in India often is considered that this precious silence is the highest form of satsang, or the teachings. It is reported that Ramana said he only started speaking or answering questions for those who apparently didn't get the silence. On the other hand, classical Advaita Vedanta often, surprisingly, dismisses the value of silence. Some streams of Advaita Vedanta, the classical ones, proclaim that knowledge, wisdom, jnana can only be recognized or remembered through words. The idea is that because ignorance usually comes in the form of thoughts and consequent feelings and perceptions, that words have the power to remove this ignorance by understanding, or knowledge traditionally called, to remove the thorn of ignorance with another thorn of understanding, and then throw them both away, as Ramana said. Some claim it's the only way, but this is not matching our experience, is it? With probably most of you, I already shared this, but for me, the teachings I received, so to speak, from my masters or heroes or friends, with or without form, surely 80 or 90%, if we want to put numbers on it, I received in silence, sitting in silence, receiving in silence and openness. So I'm very much with Ramana on this one, as you know. This understanding can come about the understanding of who or what we are, and also the understanding of who or what we are, how that relates to this apparent body, to this apparent world, to God, to nature, in relating. All of this crucial understanding of reality, of truth, including the truth of the world and our avatars, as I call them, is very much available in the silence. We could add, when it is a living silence, an experiential silence, sharing the silence with an apparent someone that is resting deeply, knowingly in and as this silence. If that apparent someone has a body or not is, in my experience, not so important. But it seems to be important that it is a living, a present silence, an unveiled, unlocked, silent awareness. As I always say, everything is consciousness or awareness, but without consciousness, everything is nothing. The greatest paradox of the truth. And coming together with a bunch of people that all resting knowingly in and as that, in a way, in satsang is even more yummy or powerful. It has a strong power to remove, to unveil, to deconstruct any traces, any remnants of ignorance. It attached, sticking to this body and mind, apparently sticking on us or with us. But as we all have deep understanding in our satsanga, we know that never ever anything really sticks on us. This silence is like Teflon. You can throw at it whatever you want from this world, from any world. It just receives it and absorbs it back to itself. Knowing that it is and was and always will be, so to speak, only itself. This is living non-duality. Some phenomena, some things, some objects, some people go out and make a lot of noise, so to speak, in this world. But eventually, all of it, all of those apparent people come back to this silence, to this awareness. In a way, the moment an object is touched, an object, a thought, a feeling, a perception, possibly, potentially painful object of our experience is truly touched by this loving awareness, by this silence. No matter how powerful, how scary, how painful the object has appeared to be, this love, this awareness is always, so to speak, even more powerful. Love is stronger than fear. Not stronger in the sense the ego imagines it. The strength lies in its openness, in its vulnerability, in its receptivity, in its understanding that it's Teflon and nothing can truly harm it, harm us. So it's a very magic Teflon, so to speak. It doesn't reject the objects, but it absorbs them back into itself, knowing that it's its own self in disguise. All of it. And every single object, every thought, every feeling, every perception, every image that is received knowingly in this openness, that is welcomed openly, reveals what is beyond the disguise, reveals the true nature of the object, reveals the love in the anger, in the frustration. Reveals the beauty in the ugly factory building, reveals the goodness, the inherent goodness in the apparent evil. In the retreat, we had this question. So does evil not exist? Now I have two Diegos on the screen. That's interesting. He was telling me about his magic with cameras and he's already on it.
My computer went into silence, so I connected with my phone.
This is a tough question sometimes with the evil in the world, especially these days where things, to some degree, don't look so pretty to some in the world. Resting deeply in this living silence, in satsang together or by ourselves. The jnana, the knowledge of our being alive, so to speak, in the now, absorbing the objects of the world back into ourselves, the thoughts, the feelings, the perceptions, images, even people, so-called people, bad people, evil people. When this jnana is not just a memory from the past, or when it has been not hijacked by a conditioned mind, by what I call the clown, into I know who I am. When it has been not repackaged into a concept or an image of myself. When it's not a memory or a imagination, a thought. Deep, deep down in our hearts, in the heart of awareness, we know when we know. We know when it's living understanding, experiential understanding of ourselves. And in this living understanding, for example, the question of good and evil, I won't answer it today because the question is not here. But in this, we could almost say active, it's in the Gita. The wise man is active when he's inactive and inactive when he's active. This is the pointer to this active living understanding in us. Which often is flickering for most seekers. We get the first glimpse, we have an authentic, true understanding. Which includes that we never lost it, that we are always it. Of course, that's the paradox. Enlightenment chapter 1 finished, and that's it. But somehow, if we're honest within our own hearts, we may notice that even it's always what we are, and it's never lost. At times, ignorance apparently veils this knowledge, this understanding, this silence again. And in most cases, so to speak, it is a bit of a flickering. It's like a Glühwürmchen. What is it called in English? A firefly. Lights on, lights off. The initial glimpse, the initial understanding at the end of chapter 1 somehow often leaves us with this flickering of understanding, or the flickering of ignorance, which way we want to put it, doesn't matter. When it is alive, so to speak. When the light is on knowingly. All questions, like this powerful one of good and evil, or destiny, it is true that we can and we will find living answers, so to speak. From within the silence for ourselves. Sharing the silent awareness with apparent others, like we do in Satsang, with apparent others that have managed to dismantle or reveal some puzzle pieces in this game of hide and seek of consciousness, sitting with so-called others that have brought back clarity, understanding to all aspects of life, and of course the main jhana of what we are, what is real. Sharing the presence magically can help us to turn some puzzle pieces of ignorance within our own mind around as well, with or without words. Sometimes it's called transmission. Big word. I'm gonna transmit to you the jnana. Or I'm gonna transmit to you the special experience of what you are. Oh. I'm sure if we would advertise the meetings with this special transmission, we would be much, much more people meeting. But unfortunately, it's so boring and ordinary. It's just our shared being, our own nature, that reveals itself to itself, and no one can claim it, not me, not anyone. But it happens. It's like pure magic. Nothing is happening, and the puzzle pieces come back together to a unified whole. I use the analogy of a puzzle, Diego. You haven't heard that one yet, maybe, because you know, on one side of the puzzle, the picture is already there, right? And the other side is kind of just a, gray or a flat color. So it seems it's not there, but it's there. And but when we turn it, then it becomes alive, it becomes visible, and the picture reveals itself to us, the Maya is unveiled. And it's so magic, this Maya, this puzzle, that there is no end to it. Like there is no end to love, there is also no end. Some would say stupidity. But there is no end also to the jnana. It's infinite. The understanding and the love, as the Buddha already said. Keep growing while already being whole and complete. That's the magic, the ineffable magic of the sages and the saints of all times. Somehow, even the recognition of this silent awareness is instantaneous, complete and whole in the moment of the recognition. And still, the love and the wisdom are growing and growing and growing, and it's just getting better and better and better. So coming together in satsang, it's a bit, there is this beautiful postcard I seen once, I loved so much, like it's showing each other what we got. It's like there's this postcard, like they're opening this code or something, and there is this open red beautiful heart shining. Show me what you got and I show you yours, or something like that. I show you mine. That's in a way what we are doing here without doing anything. Showing off what we got. The magic in this game is, though, as less we got, as emptier we are, empty of concepts, of ideas, of beliefs, of feelings, of spiritual information, intellectual knowledge. As more we unlearn everything, every single thing that we have learned, as more we let go of everything that we thought we have to hold on to, hold on to for the security and safety and the fulfillment of this illusory separate me. As more this illusory separate me is in a living understanding replaced, so to speak, with what we really are, as easier this falling off of those old leaves or fruits of ignorance becomes naturally, effortlessly. We dare to let go and let go and let go, absorb it all back into this silent awareness, dissolve it all back into its formless nature. So this transparency, this emptiness of consciousness, of awareness, becomes a living expression in this apparent form. And as more transparent it becomes, so to speak, as more we have to give far out. while I'm speaking, I'm watching myself speaking. And sometimes a thought crosses my mind. Hallelujah. If someone would hear what I'm saying here, they would put me in a tight jacket or something like that. What a weirdo. What a bunch of paradoxes that all don't make sense at all. A conditioned mind very well could think, this dude must be crazy. But thank God we're just meeting here in the privacy of our soul family. So don't tell anyone. I'm joking, of course. Tell anyone who is crazy enough to join us. The cat in the house has received the satsang vibration and is coming to join us. We are house sitting here in Dodania, a ridiculous, beautiful house. I won't show you, because you will all come otherwise. Dream house, great inspiration. If you want to come to in-person satsang, we are having here from next week, Friday, we will have a few at least Friday nights in person if you're around. Okay, Leslie, let's see how long it holds. The phone battery, it's lovely to have you. If you leave us, happy walking. She's on the Camino, walking the Camino. So this is a topic I've been contemplating on and off for years, really. This great paradox that we are all it and still this flickering, this apparent forgetting. It is true that the understanding that we are always it and that we never lost it, and there is no journey from A to B to get there, because we are already home, as I've shared many times with you. Of course, all of that is true. We cannot get to somewhere where we already are. Absolutely. Nevertheless, there is a reason why in some traditions, even in some non-dual traditions like Kashmir Shaivaism, they speak sometimes of stages of consciousness or something like that. Yeah. The states of the mind, waking, dreaming, sleeping, the awakening, the glimpse, the living understanding of I am awareness, Turiya, the fourth state, it's called in India. I am knowing knowingly that I am awareness and not this body mind, not the states of waking, dreaming, and sleeping. The glimpse is there, and as I said, it's instantaneous, it's full. The knowing of that awareness of this Turiya is full, it's whole, it's complete, but still there are coming following stages. Why is that? And there is cosmic consciousness, and there is God consciousness, and then there is unity consciousness, if I got them still together right. I haven't spoken a long time about them. Even in non-dual tradition, this is always, of course, a clumsy way to describe the undescribable, but it is this living experience that when we get this glimpse, when it's a real revealing or an unveiling of Maya, then we catch the flu. It's an moment of no time and space that will change our lives forever and has changed. I would say all of our lives being here together. And then comes this flickering. So consciousness is still pretending or gives still to itself the power of creating veils of separation in our experience. We could say from the perspective of the person, of the human, these stages of consciousness make sense. But even that is not really true, because there is no such thing as a person. The person does not experience anything. It's consciousness, awareness. experiencing itself in different clarity, we could say. Which then leads to these rather exotic names of cosmic consciousness, God consciousness, unity consciousness. We might look into those at another time in more depth. For me, more what I want to convey is that undoubtedly, even the transparency, the knowing, the jnana, the ordinariness of our being is unchanging. We have built in these different layers of magic veiling to our experience so we can have a very clear understanding of ourselves and still feeling separate from other people. We can have a very clear feeling and understanding of ourselves and still believing that there are things, separate things, or that there is a God out there with which I have to unite, to become one with. It's not so much to try to fit myself in one of these boxes, in one of these stages of consciousness. That is rather an obstacle. It's rather about this honesty within myself, this openness with myself, to which degree this universality, this openness, this non-suffering, untouched being is my experience. We could say my human experience, but as you know, there is no difference in the end between the human and universal consciousness. And that is, in a way, this unity consciousness, which points to Sahaj Samadhi, the non-state. There's no state, it's just consciousness humaning or humaning consciousnessing. No separation, no conflict, no suffering. Beauty, truth, love. Too often I have seen in Tiru especially this kind of downgrading, we could almost say, of this universality, of this magic of consciousness, this downgrading certain levels to accept them, certain limitations in our experience, to then eventually accept them as real, as being something else than consciousness, so to speak. But here with all of you enlightened fellows, so to speak, we're diving deeper and deeper and deeper, and there we want to kind of make sure that we don't put up any borders, any limitations to what we are. And these stages, in a way, they point to that there are certain levels of understanding or level of integration where we reach a plateau in our experience that remains active, so to speak. That the flickering stops. When the flickering stops, just as an example, when the turiya, the knowing to be this awareness, this silence, becomes continuous, which it always is, of course, but in our experience, when it reaches the continuity, it's always available, so to speak. And the stream of consciousness is always there, at that time still as a silent background, always revealed. The default has been switched completely to this awareness. It's always available. Then this is called cosmic consciousness. And even the consciousness is the same, the cosmic consciousness and the unity consciousness and the God consciousness and the human consciousness and the tree consciousness and the cat consciousness, even they're all the same, they reveal this Maya that has concealed, reveals to itself, consciousness reveals to itself in a way, in stages, permanently, different degrees of a living experiential understanding. There we think, see, feel, perceive, in line, act, in line with our understanding of universal consciousness. That's also a way to look. Even, of course, the one way is that there is no end to this infinity of love and understanding. Another way to look at it is that, yes, in this game of consciousness, playing with ourselves, some sages, saints, masters, gardeners, parents, shepherds, fishers have established themselves or have allowed to gave permission by continuous openness, by never allowing to believe, oh, now I'm done, now I'm enlightened, now I'm la la la. But by staying open as we are, as consciousness, allow this penetration of this consciousness to reach, to touch, to truly touch our hearts, our bodies, our relationships, our work, to really stay open to, not that we're looking for ignorance. God, no. Not that we're looking for problems. No, not that we're looking, oh my God, I'm still not pure, I'm still not enough. We spoke about that at length. That's not what I mean, but this true openness to not knowing, never really knowing fully in the sense of concepts, of ideas, of memory, never truly holding on to anything where I am, who I am, what I reach. This total openness will allow in this game of revealing and concealing to touch everything in us. So that this unity consciousness, this true oneness of humanness and consciousness is actually our experience. Our continuous experience of the non-experience. Happiness and peace the non-state, the ordinariness of being without limits, without borders. Ready, willing, open to be touched and touch every single thing, so to speak, with this jnana, with this law. Yummy. we could call it James Swartz, Advaita Vedanti, that I adore, even I don't agree maybe fully from my experience now anymore with his sharings or the tradition itself. But it brought great, he brought to me the terminology, especially of Advaita Vedanta, that was matching my experience at that time. And there is a beautiful book, I don't know, actually, I read it in German. He was even joking, he put the title Enlightenment in it because it's selling better. I might find out and share, but I wouldn't, it doesn't matter. But the last chapter, that's how I was at a yoga festival at that time in Germany. And there was this huge library, and there was this one book somehow, which, you know how it is. It was just calling me, and I grabbed it, and there was this last chapter. What is enlightenment, or what is a wise man, or something. It's based on the Gita, I think chapter 20 or 18, not sure. And I read this whole chapter there in this bookshop, this provisional bookshop, library of this yoga festival. And I just felt the truth in every word, which is missing sometimes in our non-duality these days, this definition of the wise man or the wise woman. And he speaks about the difference of self-realization, which is end of chapter 1, enlightenment, and self-actualization. Self-actualization, in my words, kind of this what we call embodiment. This making this self-realization penetrate all of our being, including all the way down to the last cell of our body, to the last to the last seed potential of our souls, of our causal bodies. To remove, so to speak, the thorns of ignorance of all levels, this self-actualization. For thousands of years it has been described in different traditions, like in the Gita, how that looks like in our humanness, because consciousness hasn't changed. It's still there in the silence, in the background, formless. You can measure it, you can see it. It doesn't. But in our humanness, this self-actualization, that's where the fruits of the self-realization show. Because going back, as you know, to consciousness when we leave this avatar behind, nothing has changed. We'll be all laughing what this all was about, this big fuss. But here, to live that now lovingly with this avatar, without suffering, without conflict, yummy, 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 enjoying this human experience, sharing the love, the compassion, the wisdom, the joy. It's all there in every tradition, but somehow Often, especially in non-duality, we stop now at self-realization. But those few crazy ones like us, we're not stopping. Nothing stops this train of jnana and love. Of course, just as a last reminder, you all know that none of our efforts, our willpower, our hard trying as a person will get us from self-realization to self-actualization. We leave this paradox for next time. Just not that you're leaving me today and go out and gonna try hard to self-actualize yourself. The separate me will love that. Yeah, finally I have a new goal. I'm not there yet.